When the whole liberal crowd, particularly the power lesbians and other little victims in the protected groups, get ridiculed, they always come back to two things. We were joking. Well, we were joking. Or three things. Or, well, you not accepting means that everybody's going to die. Or the victim. Yeah, I've had enough of Megan Rapinoe. I don't know why I can't look at her. And I guarantee you, I don't give a damn what anybody says. This thing with Sue Bird ain't lasting. I contend Sue Bird first isn't a lesbian. I think she's just trying it out. My wife educates me all the time on what's real and what's not. And if the media had any sack, they would dive into college sports programs all across the country and expose the god-awfulness of the lesbian community to straight little girls that enter college sports program, and the same thing in the WNBA. But I digress. So Patino yesterday, or Rapinoe, or whatever the hell her name is, she mocks Christians, and she might have been doing it in a joking manner. But you know what? She has lost the right to do anything in a joking manner. You know what I'm saying? She has lost the right. She has no right. She's been angry. She's been bitter. She's been mean. She's been nasty. She's been dismissive. She's been, by all accounts, the power lesbian. Because the power lesbian always has this. The power lesbian always has, at the end of the day, I'm a victim. By you mocking me, you're putting lives at stake. The hate that comes out. Oh, shut up. Everybody tiptoes around. I was watching church the other day, and the preacher, not Aaron Brockett, my guy, the other guy, he's like, well, you know, I was mentoring marriage couples, and some of them were LGBT. And you know what? It was amazing in the LGBTQ community. I know the hurt. I know the not understanding. And I'm sitting there, and I look at my wife, and I go, wait a second. It's the same thing in the heterosexual world. Marriage couples. You got hurt. You got lack of understanding. You got miscommunication. But somehow, some way, we're all supposed to tiptoe around. I know the hurt of the LGBT couple. What? 50% of couples heterosexual end up in divorce. What? They don't have the same thing, but we got to make amends. And we always got to tiptoe. I ain't tiptoeing around Megan Rapinoe. Megan Rapinoe, my ass. You're a god-awful, self-involved, self-righteous, horrific human being. And I got to tell you, there is no chance that Sue Bird is staying with that. I don't know their relationship. I don't even know what the hell a Sue Bird is. I know that she's had the greatest basketball career in the history of the world, according to power lesbians. I don't even care. But I'm telling you, that woman, she's just angry. And she going to get to my age, and she going to do what most of the angry ones do, both heterosexual and lesbian world. If you're angry when you're that age, you're going to be angry and lonely and walking your 7 dogs when you get to be my age. I've seen it for a lifetime. If you ain't happy being a national hero on the number 1 team in the world when you're in your 20s, early 30s, you think you're going to be happy when you're in your 60s? When you're in your 50s and nobody gives a rat's ass about you, and the only thing you got is a pooper scooper, a bag, and memories of how you used to scissor Sue Bird, who is now off having 3 kids, a white picket fence, living in the suburbs of Westchester, New York. Are you crazy? I mean, look, I'm no soothsayer. I'm no fortune teller, but I do live with a wife who has been in the softball world, who has seen the nastiness of these people, who understands it better than anybody. And we were scared to death, always. I was, maybe Lee wasn't. She had more faith in her daughter, my stepdaughter. But when she went to Harvard, I'm like, yeah, they ain't getting her. And turns out, one of my favorite human beings is one of Tegan's best friends, and she's a lesbian. I love the lesbian community. I do. I just don't like that one. I just don't like the angry one. I just don't like the victim one. I just don't like the one that uses her platform to mock others when she is just an angry poss. And we're all supposed to genuflect to her because, well, she could kick a ball in a goal. Now think about that. Just think about that for 1 second. She can kick a ball in a goal, so we're all supposed to genuflect to scissors here. Nancy's scissor legs. Okay, great. That's what we're supposed to do. So her latest is she's now mocking Christians. Of course, she's saying, well, I was just kidding. Well, I was just kidding. Well, God, no. There's a special place in hell for people that were celebrating her Achilles. I don't think she's wrong about that. She's probably not wrong about that. If you are celebrating anybody's injury, you are a jackass. And there's a ton of jackasses in this country. There is more jackasses than I ever imagined. And I learned this because of social media. I did not know the level of jackass was so high. I did not know the level of jackass was way up here, and there were so many. I thought the level of jackassery was just the one or two clowns that I met in the store that would say, "Hey, Dakich, boiler up." I thought that. But no, there are more. Having people low-key see, all of these little women here, like that Mina Kimes, there's like a little group. They have all of the little sayings. I mean, like having people low-key. That's like one of your all's little sayings. Celebrate. I'm like, wow, you guys are in a special place in hell if you're celebrating this. See, here's the thing. Why are you worried about it? You're one of the biggest stars in the world. You got the media scared to death, other than us here, me here at OutKick, scared to death to even say anything about you. You're the power lesbian, and you're worried and you must mock? Well, she talks to Pablo Torre, who is like, okay, there's a whole little group. I'm not a religious person or anything, and if there was a God, well, this is proof there isn't. Why? That's what she said. You know why? Because she tore her Achilles. Because God really cares about this person's Achilles. Maybe there's a God because it's putting her sorry ass to the test. Maybe it shows there a God because God's saying, all right, there's something else for you, you idiot. But self-involved, smug douchebags don't look at it that way. No, they look at it like I, me, I. I'm hurt. There must not be a God because I got hurt. Oh, okay. Someone needs to check on the Christians. They're not okay. Really? She gets to decide that because she wears her hair purple, scissors a hot basketball player, and kicks a ball into a net. All right. Good for you, baby. Good for you. And we all sit there and are scared of this. What are we afraid of? Like, what are we so afraid of? Like, let's say that tomorrow, Out Magazine comes out with an article on this speech. I read it. I go, okay. Sorry you feel that way. And you move along. The Indy Star could come out. Dakich is homophobic. No, I'm not. No. Not even a little bit, but they could. And I'd go, okay. Good for them. She lives in a world where her words have actual meaning, have actual consequence. It's written here. She sat in front of a mic. This is a really good article at OutKick. She sat in front of a mic and told the world God doesn't exist. Well, I would argue that her words have no meaning. I would argue that the only meaning her words have is, wait for it, nothing. Zero. So why are you talking about it? I've just had enough. I've just had enough of everybody dancing around the power lesbians like this woman. She can go around criticizing anybody she wants. She can go around criticizing Christians. She can go around criticizing anybody that comes at her. She can go at anybody. She can act like an entitled jackass, left or right. But nobody's allowed to come at her because, well, if you do, then you are putting the entire LGBTQ in danger. No, I'm not. I'm treating you as an equal. Because I'll get after Travis Kelce here in a minute, too. And that's what you should want. Now, some little douchebag like Pablo Torre, I don't even know who that is, or the one Izzy, or the guy that wears white hair, I don't even know who that is. They can all have their little group, good. But we can all criticize them, and I ain't afraid to. So, Megan Rapinoe, don't do it. Don't be 50, 60, and be like every other angry lesbian, angry heterosexual that gets divorced because you're angry in your 20s and 30s. And you're walking a dog with a big bag, and you're telling everybody how cute your fur babies are, and then you go home and you contemplate whether taking that entire bottle of sleeping pills. Don't do it. Like the song says, don't worry, be happy. In fact, the Bible tells you Don't worry. I got this. Dive in there, Megan, you sorry, before Sue wakes up and leaves you. All right. The Kelce boys. You know, it's really funny. The Kelce boys are interesting to me. Because my daughter turned me on to them, I like their podcast. Jason Kelce, now think about where these two are headed. Jason Kelce says, hey, look, I ain't coaching college football because of the time commitment. He says he would coach NFL or high school. No, he wouldn't. It'd be stupid to. What do you want to coach for? Like Reggie Wayne is coaching here because there's literally nothing else Reggie Wayne can do. Reggie Wayne likes to drink. Reggie Wayne doesn't like to work. So Reggie Wayne, go ahead, coach the wide receivers. But here's the real good part. The New York Times New York Post, which is like the only paper anybody should ever read, gave a synopsis of New Heights, which I'm going to watch. Listen, whatever you do with it, of Jason Kelce telling his brother, you crossed a line. And he did. And here's the deal. Jason Kelce is kind of the wiser, older, smarter, weirder brother than Travis. Travis, you can tell, grew up not really figuring out who he was. Am I trying to be black? Am I trying to be? But now he has, and he's a superstar. All right. But his sideline action was asinine, ridiculous, and he should be fined big time. But here's the deal, like Megan Rapinoe, Travis Kelce doesn't have to answer for it because Travis Kelce's a star. Jason Kelce said, you crossed the line, man. There are better ways to handle this, obviously. What are you doing? And Travis Kelce, because he's the younger brother. I have an older brother. He kind of set the standard. I was kind of the guy that, I will tell you, was my mother, father's, and everybody, all the women in my neighborhood's favorite because I was a little D-bag, a little bit of a pussy. But I had a little bit of a tint in my eyes, they always said, that said I was looking for mischief. I was looking for trouble. And women loved that. Even the older women in my neighborhood, that once I got older, they're like, oh, Danny, you were always our favorite of all of us. I know. I actually got a shirt from my brother-in-law that said mom's favorite. I know. It's who I am. Well, older brother, it's hard. Jason, you crossed the line. The yelling in his face was over the top. I think there are better ways to handle this retrospectively. All right? Travis said, I can't get that fired up to the point where I'm bumping coach and I'm getting him off balance. When he stumbled, I was like, oh, crap, in my head. Now, Jerick McKinnon pulled him away. But here's the deal. Travis went with the old bullshit, I'm a passionate guy. I'm a passionate guy. I love Coach Reed. Coach Reed knows how much I love to play for him and how much I love to be a product of his coaching career. I'm not playing for anyone else but Big Red. If he calls it quit this year, I'm out with him. I've got a great relationship. He's checked me a few times and just wanted to let him know that I wanted this thing and he could put it on me, and I got him. All right. He said he came at a moment when we weren't playing well, I wasn't playing well, and he had to get some stuff going. That doesn't matter. Here's what you say. I really apologize. Sometimes emotions get away from me, man. That's been the battle of my career. He noticed he doesn't give a blank what anybody other than Coach Reed says. I talked to Coach Reed. We chuckled about it. I couldn't be more proud of where. That's great. That's great. And he's right. You shouldn't care what I say. You shouldn't care what anyone says. But that doesn't excuse being a complete, out-of-control, disrespectful jackass. Now, I'm not one of those that says kids watch this, but I'm starting to be because kids do. The other day, you can see it on my Twitter, one of my former players sent me on Twitter to the public a beautiful post. I'm hugging him. It's one of my favorite players. I looked at the picture. I noticed my little son, Andrew, at the time little, now he's 30 years old, and had a big win last night, which we'll get to. But he's right there, and he's staring at me and Brandon. And I'm going, wait a second. They're always watching. Little kids are always watching. So I like this picture. Hey, look, little kids need to know that even if their mom and dad are jacked up, there's still a place for a big, tough, macho football player to show love. That's good. But kids do watch what Travis Kelce did. Kids do emulate what Travis Kelce did. And I don't give a damn if he's been battling it his whole career. I don't give a damn if this is something. He's 34 years old. He needs to get his head out of his ass and understand that. And I am truly not that guy. Those of you that have listened to my radio show know that I have said, don't tell me about the kids. I don't care about the kids. I used to cuss to the point where an AD at Little Rock came behind my bench and started yelling at me for cussing too much. The president at Akron got nuts on me, and my mother got crazy on me. I didn't care who was watching. I get that. But I'm changing a little bit. And this jackass needs to simply say, kids, this was wrong. I apologize. And maybe do something about it. Maybe put a video out. Maybe put something on New Heights out that says, I am going to pay a fine. There are consequences. I can't believe these words are actually coming out of my mouth. But as I said, with that picture yesterday, man, kids are watching, period. And if they're going to watch you, make sure it's something worth watching, period. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff here on the Kelces. All right? Now, whoa. The Taylor Swift effect. I try to tell you, this is going to be the most watched football game in history. JPA Sports, the Super Bowl was the most watched telecast in television. I look like Gorbachev. Anyway, the most watched football, any telecast in television history. According to CBS Sports, it was the most watched Super Bowl, whatever the hell it was, the most watched telecast ever, total audience deliver of 123.4 million average viewers across all platforms. 120 of them watched CBS, largest audience in the history of a single network. Most streamed Super Bowl in history. More than 200 million viewers watched all or part of the Super Bowl across all networks. Unduplicated total audience in history, up 10% versus last year. And you know what's interesting about it? You know what's really interesting? Got a small market in there. Kansas City Chiefs are a small market. I've always said this. You know, in football anyway, the small market, the way they go about football is brilliant. You know, and I'm not just talking about teams being able to have success like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Indianapolis Colts. I'm talking about individuals being able to have success. Let me ask you a question. Anybody more popular than Kelce? Yeah, Mahomes. Anybody as popular as Kelce and Mahomes? Yeah, Andy Reid. I mean, when you look across the board, Peyton Manning is the number one pitch man and has been outside of Michael Jordan for a long, long time. Where did he play? Played in Indy. I've said all along, I'll say again, you absolutely have no need whatsoever to play in New York, pay those taxes, and get her done. All right, the love story. Let's show J.P. Peters. I haven't really cared about all the Swift-Kelce stuff, but I watched this video and died laughing. This is a video of Kelce and Taylor dancing to Love Story. Yeah, baby. You go, Travis Kelce. See, I like love. I love me some love. And these Super Bowl parties are out of their mind. These Super Bowl parties are unbelievable. These Super Bowl parties are fantastic. Awesome. Good for TikTok for capturing the moment. All right. I got a couple of other things from the Super Bowl. Hey, let me put a bucket on my head. That's the new lampshade. Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy is calling out Dove. Now, you got to understand, Dove is one of those things, one of those places that decided that they were going to be all in on women having to compete against men. Dove soaps, that Dove. Not the Dove that's flying around that Coach Knight used to shoot hunting this time of year. Oh, no, wait, that's in the fall. No. So long story short, they're full of shit is what Dove is. So Dove comes out with a Super Bowl commercial, right? Dove comes out with a Super Bowl commercial. And Dove pointing the hypocrisy, or Vivek Ramaswamy pointing out the hypocrisy. Here's the Dove ad. We're going to show this to you. Oh, Dove, who celebrated, absolutely celebrated women having to compete against men. Now it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a beauty bar. Now that we've got your attention, our Body Confidence Sports program has landed. We're ready for the big game. They decided that they were going to be incredible hypocrites, Dove, and they, Dove, were going to start celebrating body-confident women. This is on the heels of them, Dove, deciding that, you know what, history in the making. Congratulations to Laura. Here's to more trans representation in sports. Laurel was a dude beating women. This is 2 years ago. Yeah? Vivek Ramaswamy, he not having it. Vivek Ramaswamy's like, there you go. I will never buy a Dove product. Now, full disclosure, I'm not sure I've ever bought a Dove product. It's not like I go and say, hey, give me Dove. But I'm officially putting my foot down. No Dove enters this house. That's a takeoff on About Last Night. No Springsteen leaves this house. Watch the movie. It's pretty good. A lot of sex. Dove, feigning concern that 45% of girls quit sports by 14 in its sanctimonious ad last night. Dove also goes out of its way to publicly celebrate men competing in women's sports. Classic Unilever trick. Like when they waxed eloquent about systematic racism while quietly allowing the deaths and rapes of their Kenyan tea plantation workers and then used their relationship with the UN in their cover-up act. I exposed that in Wonk Inc. And last night's fake ad is just an example of how these faux capitalists play their game. And Jimmy Fallon, who is just a pussy. Dove for the win. Keep her confident. Really? All right. I mean, if that's what you're going to tell me. Our friend Riley Gaines jumps in. She ain't afraid. She knows the hypocrisy. Look, thank God for OutKick. Thank God for Vivek. History in the making. Congrats to Laurel. Here's some more trans representation. Yeah? How'd that go for you, Dove? Dove's Super Bowl commercial about keeping girls in sports is the biggest load of crap. I love Riley Gaines. This is what they tweeted in 21 about Laurel Hubbard, male weightlifter who competed with the women at the Olympics. Anything for money. Bud Light 'em. Boycott Dove. Hell yes. Full of shit. Like, I ain't mad at you totally if you stick with it. But all of a sudden, girl confident. Really? How confident, Dove, is a girl like Riley Gaines who's got to sit in a locker room at the NCAA tournament, finals, swimming, and look over and Leah Thomas, 6'2", hairy chest, swinging a schwong in her face? And you supported that. You supported that with Laurel. Laurel Hubbard, a dude who couldn't compete against dude, but was such a little batch that he decided, I'm going to compete against the women, and Dove's going to give me a contract. Frickin' world. Frickin' world is nuts. Let's hear from Bob Costas. Got to get Bob back on the show. Bob Costas chimed in about, like, any reasonable human being understands that you don't let frickin' trans dudes with schwongs play against women. Dude, you want to play? Play against the men. But I'm transitioning. Yeah, play against the men. But I'm a man transitioning to a woman. Yeah, play against the men. And don't tell me that's unfair, because right now both of those play against the women. Why? Why? Nobody's ever given me a good answer. Bob Costas stepped up. Here's what Bob had to say.
Without getting too deep into this, people may not realize this. The individual federations that govern these sports make up their own rules. So World Aquatics may have different rules than FIFA or the Track and Field Association. So I understand that when it comes to Olympic boxing, that federation will allow trans women to compete against biological women at birth, biological women. That seems crazy, and you don't want to be called, it's not transphobic to say, let's inject some common sense. But Sugar Ray Leonard didn't fight Mike Tyson. They were contemporaries. Sugar Ray was a welterweight. Mike was a heavyweight, all right? If someday the best player in the WNBA can play in the NBA, everybody would applaud. But if the worst guy at the end of the bench on the worst team in the NBA went to the WNBA and averaged 40 points a game, everybody knows that's bullshit. All right, So
you ain't wrong. I've said it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And I'm glad to see Bob speak out because he's absolutely right. It's total bullshit. I mean, and the worst guy, you make no mistake, I mean, the black lesbians would just be incredibly pissed. I mean, if particularly a white dude, if a white end-of-the-bench player, if Mason it's not Mason, he's pretty good, Miles is all right, the other Plumlee, started with an M, Marco, I don't know, actually won a national championship with Duke, but if he came off someone's bench or from the Army Rangers, which is where I think he is, he's actually an American hero, but if he came off the bench and went over to the WNBA and averaged 40, oh, man, the angry African-American lesbian crowd would be pissed. I mean, oh, man, it'd be scissors and strap-ons for days. Are you kidding me? They'd be pissed. Anyway, it is what it is. You know it. I know it. Costas knows it. I mean, pissed. All right. I ain't mad at this guy. I ain't mad at him at all. Oh, wait, I got one more. Waste Management, Phoenix Open. They're planning for a complete change next year after an historically drunken event. Listen to this. Very proud of what we built. I think we've been Tournament of the Year on the PGA Tour 5 of the last 7 years. But we don't like what happened on Saturday. The players don't like what happened on Saturday. Our fans don't like what happened on Saturday. Maybe. And so nothing is off the table. We're going to look at our general ticket exposure and how many are out in the marketplace. We're going to look at our complete security plan and how we operate. Saturday at the Waste Management is going to end up being a turning point for our tournament and our organization to make our tournament better. Probably should. And here's the other side of it, and this is actually why. You know there's always a backstory. There's always a backstory. But the fact of the matter is this. The backstory is players have said, yeah, we ain't playing. Players have said, we ain't coming back. Nope, we are not playing in this mess. And I got to tell you, I ain't mad at them. I ain't mad at the players for saying this is bullshit. We didn't sign up to play with people throwing stuff at us. We didn't sign up to have people heckling us while we're trying to make, hey, they're the last of the Cowboys. Every stroke matters, tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you may say golf needs more fun, and I will say you're right. You ain't wrong. But the fact of the matter is, golf at least should keep a little bit of decorum. Don't you think? A moderation of decorum. A little bit. You don't need some shirtless frat boy running across the green as guys are getting ready to hit doing snow angels in the bunker. You just don't. I'm sorry. You don't. You just don't. So, at the end of the day, what you really need is a little bit of organization. Keep a little bit of control. I've been to the Waste Management, and I got to tell you, it is out of control. I kind of liked it. But it was kind of sad also seeing little girls in there like puking, seeing dudes falling down in the mud puking. You don't need that. You don't need that. John Feliciano is a lineman. He's a lineman for the 49ers. And I got to go to Aaron, and I got to go to the Knicks, and I got to go to most adult men and women. He tweeted back and forth, and it wasn't great. It was like he was throwing his teammates under the bus. He was not great. He talked about a chop block, and he kind of made fun of a guy named Colton McKivitz. A chop block is not needed if the guy that was supposed to block him blocks him. Well, it was against one of his teammates. All right. Named Colton McKivitz, who's also a 49er. Well, guess what? Feliciano felt bad about it. Feliciano said, hey, look, man, I woke up hungover, and I'm being a bitch. I'm trying to have one's back. I hurt you. It's effed up, and I apologize. You got nothing but greatness ahead of you. I'm sorry, bro. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. I honestly don't. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. Now, Spencer Burford apparently is the guy that was being made fun of. But I got to tell you, that doesn't excuse it. It doesn't. But it does kind of, for me, make it go, all right, okay, you know what? You are kind of being a little bitch. You are hungover. You're in a bad mood. You saw something. You reacted. All right, okay, you know what? There you go. All right. That's the way I look at it. I don't know how Nick, and Ryan, and Aaron, and everybody else feels about it, but that's kind of how I look at it. You know what? Nothing I can say. Now, if I'm that Burford guy, yeah, I ain't digging it. I ain't digging it at all. I ain't happy about it. No, I mean, it's going to stick with me until I sit down with him and have beers. See, to me, the great elixir is always about having beers. I sit with you, we have a chat, we're yelling at each other, and then we have beers. And once we have beers, we're all good. Once we have beers, we're like, hey, I don't like what you did. I hate what you said. But you know what? Let's have beers. You know what I mean? I will say this. Thank you for that, Nick. Put Twitter away after losing the Super Bowl. My daughter hit me up this morning. My daughter said, a group text, my ex-wife, my son, my daughter. What's everybody giving up for Lent? My ex-wife said sugar. Good choice. My answer used to be always ice cream. But in my house, for Lent, you got to eat it on Sunday. So if you gave up ice cream, I don't know where the holiest of women, the great Bobby Dakich, came up with this, but I wasn't mad at it. So ice cream on Sundays was okay. Not Sundays. Ice cream on the day Sunday was okay. So you know what I'm going to give up? I'm going to give up Twitter from 4 o'clock in the evening, which means I get my second show. I get whatever I got to get out until the next morning when I promote this show. I'm going to give up Twitter. My wife and I started the other day this. We're going to spend 10 minutes without the phone just talking. So we each grabbed a glass of wine 2 days ago, and we sat down. Now, I know what you're thinking. What did it last? 5 minutes? A weird thing happened. It lasted 2 hours. Me and her sitting up there on chairs off of our kitchen, glass of wine, talking. To the point where, you know how this goes, you know how this story ends. We finished the bottle of wine, but we're just talking. No TV, no music, no Twitter, no phone, no text, no email, nothing. Zero. Nada. Nin con poop, which, by the way, I got to do here in a minute. But the truth of the matter is, it was awesome. So what I'm giving up for Lent, and I would love to hear from you. You can hit me up on Twitter if you would like. What are you giving up for Lent? I'm giving up Twitter. 4 o'clock. Till the next morning. Now, the next morning might be midnight. I don't know. Maybe something happens that I got to promote. Maybe we got Ramaswamy back on. I don't know. But I think I can do it. I think I can absolutely do it. Last thing before I run to the bathroom. You ready? Indiana State was 23rd, 24th, depending on what poll, in the country. Their coach, Josh Shears, is the coach of the year in the country. Illinois State's without 2.5 starters. 2 for sure starters, including their leading scorer, Darius Burford. Their other starter, Jordan Davis, brother of Johnny Davis, NBA first lottery pick. And then a big kid who started half the time. They go to Indiana State. They have a freshman named Johnny Kinzinger, Mr. Basketball in Wisconsin. My son recruited him, said this kid is going to be an All-American. Johnny starts as 31. Double-digit win. Now, Indiana State has been reeling. They've been hurt. And when you're hurt at the mid-major level, well, you lose. I lost my best 2 players, 7 of my 10 years at Bowling Green. My best 3, 5 of my 10 years. It's a problem. But last night, the Redbirds of Illinois State went into the Holman Center, packed house. First time Indiana State has been ranked since when? 1979. L. Bird. And they walked out of there with a win. Not going to lie. I sat in my chair. I had 72 zero sugar A&W root beers. I had a gallon of Carb Smart Breyers ice cream with butterscotch. And I watched every second. And it was glorious. And my son, I wanted him to come on this show, but I think they got home really late. So he's going to join my show at the top of the hour at noon. And we're recapping. And congratulations to Indiana State. I mean, think about this. We're making a big deal about beating Indiana State because that coach has done an amazing job with the program.